Hello everyone, this is Mr. PM Chellapandi here. First of all, I would like to welcome you to my today's session. In this session, we are going to discuss about what is joint distributions, and it is an important concept in probability and statistics. So in this session, we will understand what is a joint distribution and why it is important and how it is used in real life and engineering, and at the end we will be given with some quick practice questions, right? Let's get started this. So here let us recall. So first, before we move to joint distributions, let's recall one thing. So that is a random variable is a quick variable. A random variable is a variable that takes numerical value based on outcome of a random experiment. Now what if we have two random variables together? So that is my question, right? So that is where joint distributions comes in, right? So now definition of joint distributions. So that is a joint distribution describes the probability of two random variables occurring together, right? So in simple words, we can say this, it tells us the probability of x and y happening at the same time. For example, x is a mark, right? X means marks in mathematics, y means marks scored in statistics. So here joint distributions help us to understand how both are related, right? So there are several types in joint distributions. That is the first one is PMF, which means probability mass function, and the second type is PDF, that is probability density function. So probability mass function is used for discrete type random variables, and probability density functions is used for continuous type random variables, right? So here we are going to understand this topic using a design thinking approach in step by step. So as we know, there are 5 stages in design thinking. So the first one is empathy, right? So empathy, in empathy part, understand, we are going to understand the problem, right? So for example, where do we need joint distribution? That is my first question. So for example, noise in signals and machine learning data. So here we need joint distributions. The second stage in design thinking is define. So it says that clearly the define the problem. So we need to study two variables together, not separately. The third stage is think of solutions, right? So use the joint probability models and separate represent relationship mathematically. And the last one is prototype. So we are going to create a model here. So the model is joint PMF or joint PDF. So at the end we are going to test the statistical values. So we will be validate the real world data. Now applications of joint distributions, right? So the application of joint distribution is widely used in data analysis, machine learning, signal processing, and risk analysis. So in these four section is widely covered by joint distributions, right? So the application of in engineering. So in engineering, joint distributions helps in noise modeling. For example, captures how different noise components are related. In system reliability, that means studies multiple factors affecting systems performance, right? Communication systems. So here we will be covering signal and noise relationship, right? So these are all the application of joint distributions. Clear? Next, um, what is the mind map? What is mind map is saying, right? So the mind map is saying joint distribution has joint PMF, that is probability mass function, joint PDF, that is probability density functions and applications, then engineering uses. So all these topics that we have covered in this unit, right? So that is saying this mind map, and at the end we will be having some assessment. So let's quickly test your understanding. I have only one question that I would like to ask you. What is the benefit of joint distributions in noise modeling? Come on, I will give you a few seconds. Can you give me the answer? Okay, the answer is it captures statistical dependencies between noise components, right? So I have another question I want to ask you. So the what is the function for discrete joint distributions, right? So come on, take few seconds and tell me the answer. Okay, I will reveal the answer. The answer is joint PMM. Okay, so thank you, viewers. I hope you must have understood this concept. You must have understood this concept clearly. And if you have any doubt, you can text me in the comment box. I will be answering at the end. Right? Thank you.